In this video, I'm going to talk about the #1 targeting mistake advertisers are making in 2022 with YouTube advertising. You see guys, this mistake is choosing the wrong targeting option. Every YouTube ads tutorial is telling people to get started with placements as their targeting option. Even in my older videos, I talk about using placements as your first targeting option. This is no longer a good idea in 2022, and I want to explain why this is a mistake. Here's the honest truth of the matter. Placements are a useful targeting option in certain use cases and certain scenarios, but they're nowhere near the top of my list in terms of the targeting options I like to start my account with. There are a few reasons for this, right? Number one is that placements struggle with scale and spending. For example, if you're using target CPA bidding, which is my favorite bidding method, you'll find that placements often struggle with spending your spend, right? So you may set a $50 budget and actually not be able to spend that budget. This is because unless you have hundreds of super high volume videos or thousands of videos in your placement list, it's kind of hard for it to spend because you're targeting individual videos in many of these scenarios. The fact is you're going after limited inventory. So that's the first reason why I don't like placements. It's very limited in terms of scale, and then a lot of times you're going to start these campaigns they're not going to spend, and it's just going to cause you headaches. Now, the second reason why is that placements are very expensive. Everyone's competing for these super relevant YouTube channels, which often means that auction prices for these placements are very high, right? So I often find that placement CPMs to be 2 to 4x higher than other targeting options, and often this can lead to very high cost per leads as well, or cost per purchases. So because they're very expensive, you have to be aware of that, and a lot of times it's too expensive to even get a great ROI on as compared to broader targeting options. So the third reason why is that Google's algorithm is getting better and better at broad audiences and finding your buyers in those broad audiences. So you need big broad audiences and a lot of data to get Google's algorithms to play in your site, and with placements you don't have that, right? Because placements are just more limited, you have less data, you have less spend. So Google's targeting really struggles with these smaller audiences, and yes, you are getting higher quality traffic because you're targeting a smaller pool. However, you're not getting any help from the algorithm. Now, what we've noticed with these broader audiences is that Google's algorithm is able to get you those high quality customers, but at a much lower cost. I found that with broader audiences, you can still get high quality leads because the algorithm has a much bigger field to play with and much bigger field to choose people from. And you'll get them at a much lower CPM and lower costs. So if we're not using placements, which targeting options are we going to be using? So here are my list of targeting options that I prefer over placements. Number one is retargeting your website visitors, your email list, as well as engagers with your YouTube channel. Obviously, this goes without saying, retargeting often is the easiest place to start. Number two is custom audiences based on search terms. We've been having great results for these in 2022. These are very high quality audiences because you're targeting people who are searching on Google for certain search terms and then targeting them on YouTube. Number three is keyword audiences, which are still working quite well. Number four is custom audiences based on website URLs. So these have gotten a little bit worse because of the fact that Google's not as accurate in these audiences, so it's a little bit broader now. However, they can still work well in many cases. And number five is in-market audiences, right? So in-market audiences also have been working very well for us. This is basically Google going out and saying, hey, these people are interested in this type of product, and they have these categories for in-market audiences. Now, I do like placements, but I do put them in the same category as topics, affinity audiences, and similar audiences. I will test them, but it's not a top priority for me, right? So usually what I'll do is once I start scaling, I'll start testing topics and affinity audiences, and that's usually at 1,000 a day mark. But those are audiences that don't really work super well when you're just starting out with an account. With placements, you can do well starting off with an account. Usually it's better to test them earlier than later, but I'm just giving you guys my perspective, which is that they're not really the top of my list in terms of my audiences, right? Like I'll test other targeting options before I test them. So guys, I hope this video helps you out with your YouTube ads. If you guys are interested in learning more about YouTube advertising as well as our agency, there'll be a link below to check out our coaching program, as well as a link below to learn about our done for you YouTube advertising program. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.